Hello, and today I'll be taking a look at Legolas Greenleaf and Tauriel from The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey in the 1/18th scale. I picked this up for about £5 just to have a look and see what they're like inside. The packaging's the standard for The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. It does come with this like elvish woven pattern in the top, which is nice. And the packet looks quite nice itself. On the back, it does tell us a little bit about the quest itself. And we do get a small dio about the characters also, which is nice. Shows us other figures in the line. We have Bilbo and Gollum, Killy and Philly, and Dwalin and Balin. And this is from The Bridge and Vivid, and is imported by Planet Fun apparently. So let's get this open and see if it's worth the cash. Okay, and here they are out of the packet. We'll quickly take a look at Legolas first, I think. So, let's start with his accessories. He does come with a bow. There's no string on it, but you could easily fix that just by tying a little bit of fishing wire around it, I'd imagine. But obviously the cost for trying to put a tiny hole in and tie the string around it, plus they'd probably put a big piece of string, so it'd just look a little bit awkward. So if you were that fussy, you probably could put a bit of fishing line around that. It does have quite nice paintwork on it. Again, a bit more of the elvish design over it. Also moulded in the brown plastic to make it look like wood. But all in all, it's a nice looking bow. Nowhere to attach it onto his body, unfortunately. There's no clip on it, but I think that would upset the sculpt a little bit. And then on the back, he does come with his arrows with like leaf quivers on, which are painted quite nicely, which is good. A nice bit of gold elvish design around the side also, and a little bit of paint on the bottom. So that looks nice there. And then if we get onto his two little daggers that he has, sculpted nicely. I believe they're probably both just the same sculpt. Yeah. With a little bit of a design on as well. It looks like it's been printed rather than painted on, which is nice. But then a little bit of paint on the top. Super fine detail on that. There we go, you can just about see it. And you turn it over, and on the other side as well. To get it that precise on such a small piece, it is really nice and done very well. So we'll pop them down to the side. I'll quickly give you a size comparison with Legolas against Gandalf. So Gandalf is, well, they're both exactly the same size really, except the Legolas's face does look a little bit bigger than Gandalf's itself. Looks a little bit out of proportion, and here he is up against Bilbo. So definitely in proportion. So let's start with the face on Legolas. And here we go. It does have a bit of a bulbous face. It's quite round. I'd say it's a little bit too big for the body, which is a shame. But the sculpt work of it looks nice. Like I say, his cheeks just seem to come out a little bit too much at the bottom to give him a rounded look. The hair is sculpted nice, and even has like his little plaited ponytail in the back onto the arm. Very nice amount of detail in there. Some more elvish design on his gauntlets on his arm, through to his chest. Also, it's the same design going down. Then this tunic does look a little bit plain. Not much going on there, but still they've sculpted it well. Good bit of pattern and nice sculpt work down here. It just does look plain. I think it's maybe just because it's all moulded in the one plastic. Down to the boots, again, nice bit of design in there. Rivets or buttons on the back of his boots, and then the boot itself. So sculpt work looks nice. You can't really see anything inside there. It doesn't seem to be anything inside there either, so you're not missing out. If we go on to paintwork, the head is painted well, no bleeding or anything going on there. The eyebrows are painted nicely, and so are the eyes. There does seem to have been a wash onto the hair to bring out a little bit more of the detail. And also on the chest, this seems to have a brush on it to bring out that detail a little bit more. And whether there's a wash or it's just that, I think this has had a very weak wash. You can kind of just about see the detail in here where it has been washed. On the back, the same again. there is a paintwork and brush on here to bring out the details, and that's been done very nicely also. Down to the boots, the buttons have each been done individually, and the gold pattern on the front of his boots. So the paintwork on this figure is done very well, with how neat it is all across all the lines and everything, even the individual buttons. Definitely done a good job with the paint. Sculpt work is okay too. Probably could have done with a little bit more paint, as I said, on the tunic though, just to bring these details out. The wash is a little bit too weak, unfortunately, to try and highlight that detail a little bit more. If we go on to articulation, we have the head. Same with these figures, have all got the long hair. Just on a ball peg there. So you're not going to get much forward on it or much back. Well, no back or forward. The head just seems to stay still. The arm is on a ball peg out to the side. You can get it up if you turn it round. It goes all the way around that far out to the side, which is nice. The elbow, it's a bit stiff. Comes up tightly across the chest, which is good. Out to the side, dodgy angle on it there, but you can definitely get all the range of motion you need out of that. And the hand is just a ball peg, and it's exactly the same on this side too. The waist twist, it does have a waist twist. You can get the legs facing a different direction, which is good. It's just another ball hinge for the knee. You're not going to be able to, unfortunately, at the top of the leg, you're not going to be able to get it out due to the design of the tunic that he seems to be wearing. But you can get the knee to go backwards underneath on both sides. But you can't do anything about it going forward, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame. Probably could have done with the slit in here, maybe, just to try and get it out a little bit more, because he does jump around quite a lot in the movie. So that's Legolas. And here's Tauriel. So if we have a quick look at her attachments, she does come with another nice looking bow, painted very well. All the detail on the bow is done immaculately. A nice bit of paint around here, a bit of sellotape on that one, I think. Again, no string, but you could easily, this one would probably be easier to string due to the shape of it, whereas Legolas's was a bit straight, so it wouldn't really be much point putting any string on that, I'd say anyway. But the sculpt work of it's nice. The paint work is done very well, so happy with the bow. And if we have a look at her arrows, they're painted okay, maybe a little bit sloppy, not on all of them. Quite a few breaks in between the paintwork, so that bit probably could have been a little bit better, but it is sculpted nicely, so quite difficult to get the paint in there, and rather than just putting a big solid blob of red paint on the top. The rest of the sheath of the bows is done nicely. It's been painted well on the bottom, and it also has a bit of a brush on it to bring out a few more bits of detail. And the peg hole, just so that it can fit on there behind her back, and it does peg on nicely, and it doesn't get in the way of the hair too much, which is good. And then also she comes with two of these daggers, not that one, she's got it in her hand, so she does hold them. Unfortunately there's nowhere to store these actually on the figure, whereas Legolas's went into the top of where he keeps his arrows. But they are sculpted nicely again, good amount of detail in there, like a bronzy gold colour, so that's good. Happy with those. Like I say, it's just a shame there's not really anywhere to store them on her, or if you could store the bow on her and then she could hold both her blades, but unfortunately there's nowhere to store that either. So onto the figure itself, if we have a look at the sculpt work, the face on this figure is a little bit dodgy. It seems to be moulded in, well, I'm saying it's a bit of a funny colour that she's been moulded in, but it's the same colour as my skin, so can't be that funny, I wouldn't say. Onto the detail of her hair, that's all been sculpted very nicely, lots of intricate detail all the way down to the bottom. Onto her, these bits as well, sculpted. Onto the tunic, that seems to be very nice. Down to here, that is soft plastic, so we'll see if that gets away in the way in a minute. Nothing on the top but a gauntlet, so again, sculpted very nicely, like this grass leafy skirt that she seems to have. Lots of detail all throughout that. Down to the legs, nothing on the legs, but you can't really see them. And then down to the boots, this bit is just paint, it's not been sculpted itself, but it looks good enough. So if we go on to the paintwork, she has had a wash in her hair to bring out some of the detail. Looks very nice indeed. She's been moulded in I'm trying to see if it's light green or dark green. I think she's been moulded in the dark green and then it's been brushed with the lighter colours on top. Comes off very well. It looks like a leathery kind of material. Down to this bit here, no paintwork unfortunately in her tunic. Well, there's this bit on the front seems to have been glossed. It's not been painted a different colour. It looks like it's got a bit of a gloss on it. None round the side or the back. This again is moulded out of a lighter plastic and then has been coated in a green and then looks like it's been washed also with a darker green. So that brings out the detail in that. Looks very nice. The paintwork down to the legs on the boots is very neat, no bleeding on there. It's all been done very well, and the feet also are all just one same colour, it's just the same piece of plastic. So if we go on to articulation, we have the head, which it would look down, but unfortunately the weight of the hair just pings it straight back up. Not going to get any up due to where the hair falls, but you do still get a good left and right, which is good for the amount of hair that she has on the back of her head. But like I say, you just can't get it to look in that position because otherwise you'll just be stuck in the same position of it popping off. The arm is on a ball peg again. I think we turn it round, you can get it all the way up. Down, how far do we get it across the chest? With her elbow joint, all the way across, which is good. Still get the awkward back motion on it, but that is just a ball hinge on her elbow. Also a swivel, which is just a peg in her hand. Hand's not been moulded too neatly. It does look like it's got quite a lot of overcast bits on it, but it still holds the sword and the bow very nicely. Exactly the same on this arm. A ball peg, a ball hinge, another ball hinge, and then a peg just for the arm. We have a waist swivel, which goes all the way round, which is very helpful. And then at the top of the leg, it is a ball hinge, but unfortunately due to how restrictive this is, you're not going to get much out of it. You can nothing at all basically. You can move it, can't move it out to the side, can't move it out to the front, but that's fine. If we go down to the knee is just a ball peg, ball hinge again. Sorry, can't remember these hinges today, and that does give you a little bit of motion, but again you're not going to get any good kicks out of this one. Maybe if you had a bit of a peg in the foot you could kind of pull it off, but it just looks a bit awkward basically. And there's nothing else in the ankle, and that is Tauriel. So that is the Legolas and the Tauriel figure from The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey in the 1/18th scale. I paid about £6 for these figures. They're sculpted nicely and the paintwork's done very neatly. Unfortunately, articulation does let it down to try and get them in dynamic poses, which is what they do a lot in the movie because they are elves. So unfortunately they do lose some markings on that. Still, just to have them on the shelf to complete the characters, they do look the part and they do look nice. It's just the articulation that lets them down. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for more Rawpain reviews.